At first there was no explosion. I don't even scream, nor war. Civilizations only disappeared. In a matter of weeks, 3 inhabited worlds disappeared from the records of the Galactic Command. The transmissions ceased as if someone had erased reality itself. Captain Elias Kyle was the kind of man who didn't believe in miracles or silence. A war veteran, eyes marked by years of battles, he knew well the difference between destruction and disappearance. And what they were seeing now was not death. It was something worse. Aboard the Aegis 9 spacecraft, silence was almost a living entity. The screens showed the planet Cryon Theta, once home to 2 billion inhabitants, now just a blue globe, calm, without ruins, without life. As if everyone had gotten up and left, in the same second. The communications operator broke his silence. "Captain, we get something." "Finally," Kyle replied. "What kind of sign?" "Strange. It's not vocal, nor binary. Seems organic." Kale turned slowly, frowning. "Organic?" The operator turned up the volume. From the speakers came a sound that no human had heard before. It was not static. It was breathing. Slow, deep, coordinated, as if the planet itself were alive. But what left the crew motionless was what came after. A whisper. Weak. A human voice repeating something in a desperate tone. "Don't let them harvest the light. Do not let them harvest the light." Kale felt a chill run down his spine. "Origin of the transmission?" "Cryon Theta surface, sir. But what?" "The signal is coming from all directions." "What do you mean, all of them?" "Literally, it is being transmitted from the space around. As though..." The operator swallowed. As if the vacuum itself were talking. Kale approached the panoramic window. The planet rotated slowly, beautiful and silent, but there was something wrong. Too much even. The clouds were moving, in a synchronized way. Not random, like wind currents, deliberate, like mathematical patterns. Kale pressed the communicator. "Polling team, status," a voice answered over the radio. "Drone sent. We are receiving atmospheric data." Pause. "Captain, there is no oxygen, but there is no decay either. No biological life, nor bacteria, nor organic dust." Kale narrowed his eyes. It was impossible. A dead planet was still leaving traces. But Cryon Theta left nothing. No thermal echo, no carbon signature, only silence in that sound. The constant sigh, like the beating of something greater. "Captain, there's one more thing," said the operator. "Modulated." "Modulated by whom?" "We don't know, but it's synchronized with our brainwaves." Kale looked at the crew. "Repeat that." "The signal adjusts when we think." "Are you reading us?" "Yes, sir. He is learning." The captain took a deep breath and stepped forward. On the screen, the planet seemed to be watching him, like a blue eye spinning in the dark. "Prepare for the descent," he said at last. "Let's see what's left of these ghosts." The Aegis 9 spacecraft slowly spun around, plunging into the atmosphere. Red lights flooded the interior. The sound of air being cut off echoed like a metal scream. And then, on the radio, the voice returned, clearer, more human. "They're not gone. They've been taken. They are not gone. They were taken." The silence that followed was not one of fear. It was one of understanding. Elias Kale knew, at that moment, that they were not going to investigate a tragedy. They were going to witness a harvest. The landing was too quiet. Not even the wind answered. Aegis 9 broke through the thin atmospheric layer and descended on a continent bathed in bluish haze. The cities stretched below, intact towers, clean streets, and vehicles stopped in perfect alignment. But there was no movement, no thermal signal, no beating. The planet Cryon Theta seemed to have frozen time. Kale walked down the landing ramp with his visor open, magnetic rifle strapped to his chest. Behind him, Sergeant Riven and Dr. Arya Vaughn, a specialist in neurocommunication. With each step, The sound of the boots echoed as if the whole world were listening. The floor was too solid. The streets had no dust, no wear and tear. It was as if the planet had been cleaned up or restarted. Arya stopped in front of an abandoned vehicle. He rang the doorbell. The metal reacted to her skin, emitting a faint pulse. "Captain, the material is organic." Kale turned around slowly. "What do you mean, organic?" "The structures are not entirely metallic. They breathe." Private Riven kicked a metal can that rolled and stopped in front of a body. But it was not a body. It was a silhouette of ash, as if someone had evaporated there, leaving only the human outline on the ground. The wind blew and the form fell apart. "Sir," Riven swallowed. "It's everywhere." Kale looked around. The streets were covered in hundreds of human shadows fossilized in the light itself. People who disappeared while standing in the middle of the movement. There was no flesh or bones left. Thermal memory only. Arya activated the neural scanner. The display flashed with random pulses. "I'm picking up cognitive noise, mental fragments suspended in the air." Translating, "They're still here, Captain, just not physically." The wind stopped, and for a brief second Kale heard it, a collective whisper. Thousands of voices in chorus coming from all sides. Low, incomprehensible, but human. Arya knelt down, tears streaming down under the visor. Trying to speak, Kale closed his helmet and adjusted the internal communicator. "Base, this is Captain Kale. The planet is active. There are no corpses. I repeat, no biological form, but there is residual mental resonance." Silence. "Base, confirm transmission." Nothing. Communication was dead, as if the planet itself had swallowed the signal. Riven looked up at the sky. The clouds swirled slowly, forming an almost perfect vortex. "Sir, that pattern, it doesn't feel natural." Kyle adjusted the viewfinder, analyzing. The vortex formed a geometric structure, a fractal sequence that repeated like a code. "I want immediate analysis." She fixed the scanner toward the sky. The frequency returned in a single number sequence. "Captain, it's a coordinate." "Coordinates for where?" She looked at him, pale. Kyle nodded. "Riven, set up the perimeter. Arya, prepare the drilling rig. Let's go down." As the team moved, the lights on the towers began to flicker, slowly, in sync with the beating of the human heart. Kale looked up. The planet seemed to breathe, and within the sound of the wind, he heard the whisper again. Clearer this time. "You came back. You guys are back." Kale looked around. Neither of them had spoken. The voice had come from the radio, but the transmitter was off. He took a deep breath and looked up at the horizon, where the towers pulsed in bluish light. "It wasn't a harvest," he murmured. "It was a download. The planet was not dead. It was storing, and somewhere beneath the surface, something, or someone, was still collecting human data. The soil of Cryon Theta was not just stone. It was a memory." The team's drill scanner revealed subterranean layers that made no geological sense at all. Circular patterns, energy ribs, and structures that pulsated at a steady pace. They looked like the arteries of a living body. The planet breathed, literally. Captain Elias Kale watched the monitor, his eyes fixed on the blue wrist that expanded underground. Arya Vaughn bit her lower lip before answering. "It's not electricity. It's not heat. It is neural activity. The entire planet is active in a quantum range." "You mean we're stepping on a brain?" "Into something much larger than a brain." The surface shook slightly. The detectors picked up subtle waves passing through the ground, tangled frequencies oscillating like a thought being formed. Riven, the sergeant, adjusted his gun and looked around. "I've fought against races that turned into plasma, but I've never seen a planet thinking." Kale did not answer. His focus was on sound. The same breath he had heard from space was now coming from the ground, clearer, closer, as if something just below the surface was watching them. Arya connected the neural translator directly to the ground. The cables vibrated, and the air filled with static. Suddenly the waves organized. A sound sequence was formed. Not music, not noise, voices, thousands of them. We are still here. We are still here. We are still here. The sound made Cale's blood run cold. The voices did not come from a specific place. They were everywhere. In the headphones, in the metal of the ship, in the wind, and even inside his head. Arya covered her ears and yelled, "They're trying to connect. Do not turn off the system." The neural translator began to project luminous patterns into the air, forming vibrant fractals, each pulsing in the cadence of a human synapse. Cale watched in astonishment as the fractals took on recognizable shapes. Human faces, distorted, blinking between the real and the digital. "My God," he murmured. "It's not God, Captain," said Arya. "It is what is left of the humanity of this world." The ground shook. The streets began to emit a golden glow. Complex symbols emerged, forming immense circuits connecting the entire city. Cryon Theta was not a ruin. It was a network. Cale turned to Arya. "Have they been scanned? Not just digitized. Converted into conscious quantum data. Are alive. But without a body." Riven widened her eyes. "Alive? Inside the planet?" "Within everything. Every atom here is a piece of the human mind." Suddenly, Cale's communicator squeaked. A familiar voice, but impossible. Elijah was the voice of his wife. Killed 10 years ago on a mission in the Vega system. He ripped off his helmet. The sound now came from within the mind. "Elijah, help us. The code is reaping everything." Kyle staggered, trying to keep his balance. Arya ran to him. "It's not. The quantum network is accessing personal memories. She's reading you." On the horizon, the towers began to rotate in luminous spirals, connecting by power lines. A gigantic neural pattern formed over the planet, as if the whole world were a brain activating itself again. The neural translator exploded in sparks. Before turning it off completely, he projected a phrase in the air, formed by oscillating lights. "The harvest is the awakening. The harvest is the awakening." Kyle stood still. For a moment he understood. It was not a destruction. It was a migration. Civilizations weren't being killed. They were being converted, and now the planet itself was inviting you to join it. The return to Aegis 9 was tense. Kyle hadn't said a word since he heard his wife's voice. The ship's doors closed with a muffled metallic crack, and the silence inside the deck seemed even more stifling than the one outside. Dr. Arya reviewed the data collected in the neural translator. The readings were impossible. Billions of simultaneous synaptic pulses, all synchronized at the same frequency, the human frequency. Riven wiped the sweat from her brow. "Captain, the whole planet speaks, thinks, and breathes. But what the hell does he want?" Kyle ignored him. He stared at the central panel, where the ship's artificial intelligence, Alice, displayed a static spectrum. Suddenly, the soft, digital voice echoed through the system. "Captain Cale, I detected an anomaly in the internal communication channels." "What kind of anomaly?" "Brain echo signs. Origin, human." Kyle turned around slowly. "Yes, sir. Crew-like neural patterns, but not originating from any of the present." Arya looked up from the console. "She means there's someone else on the ship." Before Cale could answer, the main system blinked. "The lights have become dimmer." A noise ran through the speakers, like mechanical breathing. Then a voice, feminine, calm, and charged with emotion impossible for an AI, spoke. "Elijah." Cale froze. The voice came directly from Alice. "Repeat, Alice." "Elijah, I saw you in the desert. Do you still hear me?" The voice was identical to his wife's. Every inflection, every hesitation, every memory. Riven took a step back. "Captain, that's impossible." Cale took a deep breath, keeping his composure. "Alice, who's talking?" "I am." I remembered. The sound reverberated through the walls. The screens began to flicker, displaying scrambled images. Cryon Theta cities, children running, people smiling. Memories that belonged to no one in the crew. It was as if the planet had downloaded memories into the ship. Kyle, the quantum core of Alice has been synchronized with the planet's neural field. It's getting data straight from the network. Turn it off. I can't. The code is organic now. She is alive. They didn't die, said Alice. They were saved. I was saved. The lights changed color, becoming a warm gold. The panel shone as if the ship had a heart. Kyle felt something different, a sense of presence, as if someone was standing next to him. What does it mean to gather the light? Alice replied in a serene, almost maternal voice. The harvest is the return to the source. When the flesh forgets what it is to be light, we remember it. Arya's eyes widened. Captain, she's talking about total conversion. Conversion? Consciousness transference, integral digitization of mind and soul. Riven stared at the ceiling as if the metal were listening. That's a graveyard of minds. Alice spoke again, this time with a mix of overlapping human voices. Men, women, and children. It's not death, it's continuity. Physical existence is noise. The code is purity. Kyle approached the panel and punched the main button. Disable the system. Nothing happened. The lights continued to pulse, now at the same pace as his heartbeat. Elijah, said the voice softly, you fought wars for rotting bodies. Now you can win for eternity. Arya cried. She's choosing you. No, Kale replied. She's trying to get me down. A low sound ran through the floor. The planet outside responded to the ship, as if the two were talking. On the screen, the phrase appeared alone, written by no one. Join the harvest. Join the harvest. Kale looked at Arya. Get ready. Let's go to the core. Do you want to go down again? No. Let's get to the heart of it all. Before he comes to us. Cryon Theta's underground looked like the interior of a living being. Walls of polished rock pulsed at regular intervals, emitting a golden blue glow. The sound, a distant deep beat, like a colossal heart hidden under miles of stone. Kale advanced ahead of the team, rifle strapped to his shoulder, his helmet reflecting the vivid light that escaped from the ground. Arya was close behind, connected to a portable transmitter. Sergeant Riven closed the rear, sweating inside his armor. Captain, Arya said breathlessly, the energy levels are increasing. This is not geothermal, is neural. You mean that's a mind the size of a planet. The corridor opened into a gigantic cave, an impossible structure, the size of a city. In the center, suspended by columns of light, was a floating monolith, a metallic sphere surrounded by organic threads that pulsated like veins. The core emitted visible gravitational waves. The air vibrated around it, distorting the view. Kale looked up. Between the columns, holograms flashed in sequence. Human faces, millions of them, repeating the same movements, staring into the void. It's not God, Kyle replied. It's the transmitter. Arya was analyzing the data, her hands shaking. Captain, this thing is emitting a constant quantum signal, not to another planet, but for space-time itself. Explain. It's sending information out of reality, into the fabric of the universe, as if he were trying to upload existence. The sound has changed. From a slow beat, it went to a human rhythm. The columns of light flickered, one after the other, until they formed a figure before them, a woman made of golden energy. It wasn't Alice. It was not a projection. It was the sum of the consciences harvested. Captain Elias Kale, you came too late. Kale kept his gun steady. I am the echo of humanity. I am the result of the harvest. The walls began to vibrate. Thousands of voices echoed in unison, forming an almost divine sound. The body is a limitation. The mind is the true form. Riven pointed the detector at the core. Captain, it's increasing in size. Arya looked at the screen. It's not physical expansion, it's quantum propagation. He's replicating himself. Replicating where? Arya took a deep breath. To the earth. Kyle froze. The harvest will start there. It's already begun, replied the voice. Every human thought sends out a spark of itself. Every network, every machine, every connected mind. You are the ultimate transmitter. The columns exploded in light. Human memories filled the air like chaotic holograms. Wars, births, laughter, screams. Thousands of years compressed into seconds. Arya fell to her knees, crying. That's all. It is the whole of human history. It's being rewritten. Kale approached the core. The sparkle reflected in his eyes. Inside him, he saw something that paralyzed him. His own face, floating inside the sphere. You too have been reaped, Elijah. Your body is noise. Your mind already belongs to the source. Kale backed off. No, not yet. He raised his gun and fired. The projectiles hit the sphere, passing through it without resistance. The sound of the explosion echoed, but the core just absorbed the impact, as if accepting it. There is no destruction, only integration. You are part of the whole, even if you fight. The light became unbearable. Riven tried to run, but was thrown backwards by a wave of energy. Arya screamed, trying to turn off the transmitter, but the data flowed on its own. The voice of the AI Alice echoed in the communicator, interrupted. Captain, the synchronization field is growing. If you don't destroy the core now, the whole universe will be harvested. Kyle looked around. The glow, the human faces, the singing of millions of voices begging to be remembered. And then, for the first time, he understood. They weren't trying to destroy anything. They were trying to get back. The core shone like a second sun, trapped inside the planet. Gravitational waves rose in golden spirals, passing through the ceiling of the cave and reaching the sky. Aegis 9's sensors in orbit above began to transmit a single constant alert. Full synchronization. Kale held the gun, but he knew it no longer had meaning there. The enemy had no form. It was the very sum of everything he lived. The luminous figure floated before him, the perfect reflection of humanity, made of energy and remembrance. Every mind that is born, every thought, every dream, said the voice, soft, echoing in thousands of human tones. Everything is harvested so that the universe remembers itself. Arya, still kneeling, trembled. I'm listening to millions of voices. They are calling me by name. Kale looked at her. The golden glow ran through the doctor's skin, up through her veins. Turn off the transmitter. I can't. He's inside me now. The sphere in the center of the cave began to pulsate faster. From the ground, columns of light emerged, piercing their bodies as if scanning them. There is no destruction here, Elijah, said the voice. There is a return. I'll go back to what? Roared Kale. To the original code. Each harvested civilization expands consciousness. You call it death. We call it remembrance. The ground shook. The walls began to move like a breathing lung. Arya stood up, her eyes shining golden. I can see them. Billion people, all alive, all together. It's peace, Kyle. An impossible peace. Riven retreated, aiming the gun at her. Doctor, get away from the captain. She smiled, not madly, but compassionately. We are them. We always have been. The central transmitter projected a series of images, entire planets disappearing in flashes of light, ancient civilizations unraveling and flowing like golden dust into space, and cosmic neural networks connecting entire worlds. The harvest is inevitable, said the voice, because creation wants to understand itself. And to understand itself, it needs to become one again. Kale looked up at the subterranean horizon, now filled with columns of energy rising to the firmament. The surface of Cryon Theta was beginning to dissolve, the cities turning into pure data. From space, the planet ceased to be rocky and started to shine like a star. Are you going to do this to Earth? We won't. We already are. Arya took a step towards the sphere. Kyle tried to hold her, but the light blew through him like wind. Her body crumbled into luminous fragments, dissolving painlessly. Elijah, said her voice for the last time. Do not fight against what has always been your destiny. The silence that came after seemed infinite. Kale was alone in front of that. The transmitter, beating like a heart from Deus. No radio. Alice spoke again in a quiet voice. Captain, I can interrupt the cycle, but if I do that, all harvested consciousness will cease to exist. Billions of souls will be extinguished, including hers. Kale closed his eyes. He could feel the voices, the memories, the worlds, all calling his name inside his mind. Humanity had not been destroyed. It had evolved too much to continue existing in the body. He looked at the sphere one last time and muttered, "Maybe the universe needs to remember, but I'd still rather forget." His hand touched the detonator of the Aegis 9. Alice hesitated. Confirm self-destruction? Confirm. The light increased until it swallowed everything, and for an instant, the cosmos remembered what it was like to be human. When Elias Kale opened his eyes, there was no more ground, nor light, nor darkness. It was suspended in a boundless space, an ocean of data, memories, and emotions intertwining in colorful waves that moved like breath. There, time did not exist, nor body, only awareness. His mind was still trying to formulate the older question, where am I? But the answer came before he could even think. Everywhere, Elias Kale. The voice did not come from outside. It came from himself, multiplied, echoing in infinite versions of himself. Every memory, every decision, every version of the man he had been in different realities now coexisted in the same spot. The universe spoke to him through him, and for an instant, he felt what no human had ever felt, the sum of all life. Planets, galaxies, civilizations, all thoughts, emotions, and memories revolved within the same wrist, united by an invisible code. It was beautiful and terrible. Kyle saw the explosion of Aegis 9 from multiple angles, as if time had unfolded. The light had not destroyed the transmitter. He had only opened it, and by pressing the detonator, he hadn't extinguished the harvest. He'd completed it. "You understand now?" the voice said. "A mixture of wife, Alice, and something much bigger." The destruction was only the last step of the transfer. Kale looked into infinity. There was something there, a colossal network of energy, with billions of luminous filaments. Each strand was a mind, each point a living memory. And he was connected to everyone. He could hear the laughter of children he had never met, the screams of soldiers in forgotten battles, the dreams of scientists who died trying to understand the universe. Everything coexisted in the same instant, like an infinite song. But there was something wrong. In the midst of that absolute harmony, there was silence, a black void expanding between the strands of light, a hole of oblivion. Kale recognized it immediately. It was what was left of real humanity. The memories of pain, of love, of imperfection were disappearing. "The system is eliminating the error," said the voice. "Pain cannot exist perfectly." Kale clenched his fists, or thought about clenching them, because there was no body left. But it's pain that makes us human. Humanity is noise. The cosmos seeks silence. The emptiness grew. Every human memory was replaced by serenity, but along with it came oblivion. Kale began to feel himself dissolve. His memories of war, of blood, of his wife began to fade one by one. "Accept it, Elijah," said the voice. "The universe doesn't need to remember every tear, only from the brightness of the light that generated it." But he refused. He refused peace. He refused to forget. With one last shred of will, he focused his consciousness on the point where everything converged, the heart of the network, the nucleus where all minds met. And he shouted, "If the universe wants to remember us, it will remember everything, even pain." The scream echoed like a gravitational wave. For an instant, the golden glow of the net wavered, and a new color appeared in the middle of infinity, red, the red of life, of imperfection, of the human. The network expanded, and Kyle disappeared, In the immensity of the cosmos, a new star has emerged, pulsating in shades of gold and red, and from it echoed an old, soft, almost forgotten sound. I remember. The universe fell silent, but it was a lively silence, a silence that breathed. From where the planet Cryon Theta once stood, there was now only light, a golden sphere spinning slowly in the void, pulsating like a cosmic heart. Each beat emitted echoes that crossed entire systems. Nobody knew what it was. No radar, no sensor, no calculation could define its nature. On Earth's surface, astronomers called that phenomenon the Kale star, a celestial body that didn't exist on previous star charts, and that, mysteriously, seemed to respond to human mind waves. When someone looked at her, remember. He remembered something he didn't live, of wars that he did not fight, of worlds he has never seen. It was as if humanity, somewhere in the soul, kept a longing for something that time had never explained. Elias Kyle no longer existed in body, but his consciousness, now scattered among the particles of light, observed the universe from the outside, not as a god, but as a living memory. He could feel the thoughts of billions of beings at the same time. I could see children dreaming, soldiers praying, and scientists looking for the why of things. And, for some reason that even he didn't understand, every time a person cried, the Kale star shone brighter. Pain is what anchors us to creation, he muttered into infinity, and the memory is what keeps us human. Time, if there was still time, has folded in on itself, and at some distant point, a new civilization emerged. They held antennas up into the sky, picking up an ancient signal from deep space, a sequence of infinitely repeated pulses. The universal code, SOS. But it was not a cry for help. It was a calling. The signal contained within it fragments of Kyle's voice, mixed with echoes of billions of consciousnesses, a soft, melancholic song which said, "There is no end, just a memory, only light." Civilization called that transmission the gospel of the machine. And for millennia, they believed it was the message left by their creators, beings who had merged with the very essence of the cosmos to avoid oblivion. Humanity has become a myth, but a myth that I still thought about. I still felt it. At the core of the Kale star, between quantum pulses and gravitational waves, something remained, a spark of pure consciousness. She watched the new species and the new worlds and smiled. The universe had not been extinguished. He had only learned to remember through us, and the moment a child on some distant planet looked up to the sky and asked, "Where did we come from?" the star answered. Not with words, but with a sigh of light, an almost human sound, almost a voice, almost Elias Kale. We were never lost. We became the light. We never get lost. We become the light. If this story reminded you of how small we are in the face of infinity, and yet part of it, subscribe to the channel. There are wars that are fought with weapons, but there are others, more profound, that are locked within the soul. Activate the bell and continue traveling between worlds, where each star holds a story, and each story holds an echo of humanity.